We got $1 million to first. Game 1 NBA Finals. Miami, Denver. I am super excited to talk about the showdown slate. If this is your first time watching, welcome. My name is DK. I cover content for Draftkings, NBA, NFL, XFL, esports, all the good stuff. Also make content for player prop sites like Prize Picks and No House Advantage. No House Advantage, they are the sponsor of this video. If you guys are not on No House Advantage, you can use the code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. It'll be linked down below. They have some pretty exciting stuff upcoming this week. They're going to have a Kayla Martin free square, so keep an eye out for that. It's not posted yet, but they did tweet that out. They have some nice promos tomorrow, and then they have happy hour on Friday, where they increase your winnings from your picks. So a lot of exciting stuff going down in No House Advantage. Again, if you guys are not on it, you can use that code, take advantage of that matched deposit up to $100. And give it a try. They have a lot of different sports here. And I'm having a lot of fun on No House Advantage. So again, link will be down below, DKDFS, for that match bonus. And then if you guys are looking for more content, you can check my Patreon link down below. We are still grinding DFS for NBA. We're still grinding the showdown slates. I go very in-depth with my roster construction videos. We talk through where I think is the optimal build and where does it get different. And then we do a live stream before lock, go over ownership. A lot of stuff. So if you guys are still interested in grinding these showdown slates for the finals, you can check out my Patreon. Also, again, Summer League right around the corner, only a month away. That is the biggest edge of the year that I am super excited for. But all right, so with that all out of the way, let's talk about this slate. So going over the Vegas odds right now, we got 8.5 point spread. So there is a little bit of blowout risk. I talked about this in my Prize Picks video. If you guys are on Prize Picks, I just uploaded a video talking about a couple player props I like for game 1. You can check that out. But yeah, 8.5 point spread, there definitely is a little bit of blowout risk. You got Denver with a massive home court advantage with the altitude, right? They just swept the Lakers. They've been chilling, where Miami just played a grueling 7-game series. So there is some blowout risk. It's a 219 over-under, so slightly on the lower end of the spectrum for totals. Let's talk through the rotations. So let's start off with Miami. So Tyler Hero, we got news a couple days ago that he will be back. He's aiming for game 3, so we don't have to worry about him for game 1. What's the starting lineup going to be for Miami? Well, almost positive it's going to be Vincent, Lowry, Martin, Jimmy Butler, and Bam. And this is now Caleb Martin's team, if you guys didn't know, right? It's that gif of like, look at me, I'm the captain now. That is Caleb Martin to Jimmy Butler and Bam. He is the captain now. Unbelievable playoff run for him, especially in this Boston series. But I think that will be the starting 5. And then off the bench, we're for sure going to see Duncan Robinson. He's going to basically just split minutes with Max Strus. Whoever's playing better between the two will get more run. And then you're going to see Kyle Lowry playing some backup point. Those are the 7 for sure will be in the rotation. Now, there's a couple different ways Miami could do this with their bench rotation. Could they play Cody Zeller a little bit as the backup 5? Sure. Could they play Kevin Love a little bit as the backup 5? It's possible. But what do I think happens? I don't think either of those guys play, to be honest. Cody Zeller is really bad in the playoffs. He's been getting abused. Kevin Love is just dust defensively. I think Miami, with their 8th guy, goes to Haywood Highsmith, and they play him small ball backup 5. Now, the reason I say that, what is Denver doing when Nikola Jokic is not on the court? Right? Are they playing a backup 5? No. They're going small, too. They're basically playing like Aaron Gordon / Jeff Green as their backup 5. So, like, they're not playing DeAndre Jordan. They're not playing Thomas Bryant, which is why I don't think Miami needs Zeller or Love out there. And honestly, Highsmith, when given minutes, I mean, he played a little bit there in Game 7, but a couple games ago, he looked phenomenal. And he's one of their better defenders. I think he should be the 8th guy. And that's what I think the rotation will be. Starting 5 plus Lowry, plus Duncan Robinson, and plus Haywood Highsmith. Now, like I said, is it possible you see some Kevin Love or some Cody Zeller? Sure, it is. But I don't think it's necessary, especially with the way that Denver runs their bench rotation. I don't think you'll see either of those guys play. So now let's start with players and the prices. You got Jimmy Butler at 13.4. If you think Miami keeps this game competitive or even has a chance to win, then obviously you want to look to Jimmy Butler. I think he'll be not super low owned, but for a showdown slate, he'll be a little bit lower owned as far as the spend ups go. Right? I think Jokic will obviously be much more popular. I think Jamal Murray will get more ownership. I think Bam will get more ownership because of the price point. But that doesn't mean that Jimmy Butler's out of play. And like, you kind of never know where you're going to get from Jimmy Butler. This guy's frustrated me a lot in the playoffs because I feel like whenever I fade him, he turns into MJ. If I play him, he just stands in the corner and is super passive. So it honestly has been a frustrating run for me with Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. I just cannot get him right. But the ceiling's there. The ceiling's there, and I think the ownership will be not super high in him for game one. So like him as more of a contrarian play. Bam Adebayo, I think, is more of your optimal play. Played 43 minutes last game, dealt with a bit of foul trouble. I mean, I basically think if he stays out of foul trouble, he's going to play every minute that Nikola Jokic plays. So if Nikola Jokic plays 42 minutes, I think Bam plays 42 minutes. If Jokic plays 45 minutes, I think Bam plays 45 minutes. So I really do believe that, unless Bam gets a massive foul trouble. And if that's the case, that's where I think you could see some Zeller, right? If Bam gets an early foul trouble, I don't think they can. I mean, I guess they could try Highsmith and Jokic, but maybe that's where you would see one of those backup bigs. I think they would probably go to Zeller in that scenario if Bam does get an early foul trouble. And then Martin, who's just been playing out of his mind last couple games, 48 fantasy points back-to-back games. Now, here's the thing. I don't think he can continue to shoot this well. But, I mean, the minutes are going to be there. Like, I think Caleb Martin's going to play like 40 minutes. So, at this price point, I think he's a pretty safe play. I don't think we can expect 50 fantasy points from him again, but I think we definitely have to expect more than like 20 fantasy points. Like, I think he's a pretty safe option in the mid-range if this game stays competitive. Good defender, obviously can score the ball, so I think Martin's a pretty safe option. Then you got Gabe Vincent, who, of course, one game I played him, they didn't close them. They went to Lowry, which was very frustrating. But he's one where the minutes have fluctuated a little bit. Most of the time he's closing games, but you did see Lowry close him last game. So I think of these two guards, Vincent's still safer than Lowry. He's just more guaranteed minutes. He has the upside to play 40 minutes. Right? We've seen 40 minutes from him a couple times in that Boston series. So I think Vincent's a more optimal play. I think the reason you would play Kyle Lowry on the showdown for game one would be ownership purposes. Definitely not an optimal play. Doesn't mean, though, that he can't have a good game. We've seen a couple pretty solid games from Lowry, 37 there, 43 here against the Knicks. So even though he's kind of dust at this point in his career, he still does have a little bit of upside. A guy can stuff the stat sheet, and if he's playing well, they can close with him. So I think Lowry's your contrarian play there in that range. And then you got Strus and Duncan Robinson, who are going to split the minutes here. Really comes down to who's making their shots. Duncan's been playing a bit better of late than Strus. He's been making more of his shots. So yeah, I mean, this one's a tough one. I don't think I would play them both together. Now, is it possible that both could have a good game at their price point? Sure. Like, if they both really get hot from three-point land, then maybe. But I probably wouldn't play them both together. I will say, if you can guess right on which one of these guys closes or is actually making their shots, like, they might be in the winning lineup because Strus and Duncan definitely have a ceiling. We've seen a couple big games from Strus. We saw a huge game from Duncan a few games ago. So I like the ceiling on both. Again, most likely those two will combine for 48 minutes, and they're going to close with whoever's playing better, or basically whoever's shooting better, because that's what they're out there to do. Strus and Duncan, they're out there to shoot. And then you got the cheapies, who, again, if you're confident that Kevin Love plays a little bit, you can take a shot on him. He's a good point per minute guy. If you're confident Cody Zeller gets a little bit of run, sure, you can play him. I think they go to Highsmith as the eighth guy. He's a decent defender. He matched up well, in my opinion, against Denver, especially them going small ball. So if I'm going to go to one of these punt plays, I think it's going to be Highsmith for me. But that's just me. Again, if you're confident Love or Zeller play, you can go there. And then if you're thinking like way off the board, because you do have to think like this, especially with $1 million to first. So if you're thinking, all right, well, what happens if Miami gets blown out, right? Who's going to be on the court? Or who's the guy that can crush in a blowout? You're at 7? You're at GOAT 7, right? Like, completely out of the rotation. But if Denver's up by 30 in the fourth quarter, he could get 6-7 minutes there in the fourth. He's well north of a fantasy point per minute guy. If you guys know from the Summer League, we played this guy a ton. So if you want to get way, way off the board and you think Miami gets destroyed and you want to just go to a guy at no ownership, Yurt 7, I think, would be the guy for me. I will mention also, if Miami does get blown out, one guy that most likely will play the blowout is Duncan Robinson. He's basically closed every single blowout so far in these playoffs. When either Miami's blowing out a team or they're getting blown out, Duncan is on the court. Because Miami, they just have like a bunch of bigs. So you would probably see in a blowout for Miami, Duncan Robinson, Highsmith, Yurt 7, Jovic, and like one more. Maybe you see some Lowry. I mean, Lowry has actually closed in blowouts too. But yeah, you want that way, way off the board play for Miami. It's Yurt Goat 7 for me. And then Denver. I think it's pretty easy to talk about starters. Jamal Murray, KCP, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic. Off the bench, you're going to see Bruce Brown. You're going to see Jeff Green, and you'll probably see a little bit of Christian Brown. And that's it. So that's what the rotation's been for the last couple series here for Denver. I see no reason why they would change that up. Top end, Jokic, he's going to be the most popular spend up in the slate by far. Now, Bam is a solid defender, but this is Nikola Jokic, man. This guy has been playing out of his mind in the playoffs, literally averaging like a triple-double. I don't think we had to spend a ton of time here. He's going to be massive chalk. He should be massive chalk. Now, can you fade him in the $1 million maker on Thursday? The answer is yes, you can, because he's going to be so highly owned, and you never know. Something really weird could happen. Could roll an ankle. Could get in massive foul trouble. Maybe he just can't hit a shot, right? I mean, he did only go for 45 fancy points here against the Lakers. If you fade Jokic and he goes for 45 on Thursday, like, you're probably in really good shape. But I mean, if you go through some of these other games, I mean, he's literally averaging like 70 plus fancy points. So the answer is yes, you can fade him. I probably won't be doing that. I'll probably be looking to get different elsewhere. But yeah, if you're building 150 lineups, like, you can definitely fade Jokic in some. Jamal Murray, 10.8K. I love him at this price point. I mean, the usage has been insane. I think he's going to play 40-plus minutes. The offense is him, and it's Jokic. And you're just getting such a nice discount on Jamal Murray from Jimmy Butler. Jamal Murray, sub 11K, and you got Jimmy Butler in the mid 13K range. Like, just give me Jamal Murray all day long over Jimmy Butler at that price point, as far as optimal build goes. And you never know. Jamal Murray, he had one to two bad games in the playoffs. If he really, really can't make a shots, I mean, he has shown that floor for 25 there against Phoenix. But, I mean, yeah, he averaged over 30 points a game against the Lakers. He's going to play over 40 minutes. Like I said, the offense is just Murray and Jokic. I really like Murray as well. I think a majority of people on Thursday are going to have both Jokic and Murray. So if you play them both, you're definitely not going to be different. I think most people will, like, most of the field probably will start lineup like that, right? So you're not going to be different if you do that. But you can still do that and get different elsewhere. All right, Michael Porter Jr., he's 7'6". I mean, he's played really well recently. Not the one game that I needed him to, though. One game I played him a low ownership at DFS. If he had one of the other games that he's had, basically, in the series, I would have won. I would have taken down a tournament. But no, I played him at no ownership, and he got benched. The one game he did not close so far in the playoffs, yes, I had him in my lineup, that if he had a normal game, I would have won an insane amount of money. So if you guys are new and it is your first time watching, get used to it. No one runs worse than me. Every single viewer on this channel knows that too. Every viewer, unless you're a new viewer, and I'm telling you that right now, that no one runs worse than me. No one. But yeah, Michael Porter Jr., I think as long as he plays well, I think he probably plays mid-30s minutes. He's been also rebounding the ball at a really high clip as well. Averaged like almost 10 rebounds a game in that Lakers series. So I like Michael Porter Jr. I like his ceiling. Aaron Gordon, 6'6". So he's going to play a lot. I think he's going to use a lot of his energy, though, on defense. I think he'll be on Jimmy Butler most of the time. They might even throw him on Bam at times. Maybe if they go that small ball route. But yeah, with Gordon, I mean, he's had a couple good games in the playoffs. But most of the time, he's kind of hovering in this like 20, 25 fantasy point range. I mean, he wasn't great in the Lakers series besides that last game. He went for 40 plus. So I think Gordon is still in play. But again, another more contrarian option for me. He's not going to be super popular, but the minutes will be there, assuming no foul trouble. And that doesn't mean he doesn't have a ceiling. We've still seen a couple big games from Gordon. If you play him at low ownership on Thursday and he goes for 35 to 40, you're looking really, really good. And then you got Bruce Brown, who the minutes kind of fluctuated on him. Like, if you just look at the Lakers series, 24, then 37, then 29, then 20. So it kind of comes down to how he's playing. They can close them. He's closed games over KCP. He's closed games over Michael Porter Jr. So a guy like Bruce Brown, the range of outcomes is pretty wide. He is a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. And besides that last game against the Lakers, he played pretty well. 24, 27, 31 fantasy points. So a guy that the ceiling is there, the price is reasonable, but I would say the floor is much lower on him than a guy like Gordon. So you got, in my opinion, two relatively contrarian plays, Gordon and Bruce Brown. I think Gordon's minutes are more secure. Bruce Brown's minutes, if he struggles, they can play him only 20 minutes. But Bruce Brown also can play 35 plus minutes. We've seen that multiple times from him in the playoffs as well. And then KCP, we know what we're getting from KCP most of the time. Again, the one game, that game he didn't close. Most of the time he is closing. Most of the time he's playing mid-30s minutes. And with KCP, it comes down to whether or not he's making his shots. If he's making his shots, this is a guy that can go for 30 plus, close to 40. He went for 38 here against Phoenix, 35 in game one against the Lakers. So ceiling's there, but he really is not going to do a ton of the peripheral stats. So he's relatively similar to a guy like Strus or Duncan Robinson, where it comes down to, can he make his shots for if he's going to pay off his salary? The opportunities will be there. The minutes should be there. Just comes down to, will he make his open shots? Because he's going to have open looks, right? With Murray and Jokic, you're going to get some open looks for KCP. And then you got the value play. So 2.2K Jeff Green. It's not exciting, but I think he's one of the safer value plays on the slate. If anyone gets in foul trouble, if you get Jokic foul trouble, if you get Gordon foul trouble, usually it's Jeff Green that comes in. If it's Murray or KCP, then it's most likely Bruce Brown. But if it's someone in the front court, we have seen Jeff Green get extended. He played 23 minutes in that game against the Lakers. We saw 20 minutes here against the Suns. He played a good chunk in that Minnesota series. I think on average he's probably playing around 15 minutes, but could play a little bit more. Now, he's really not done much. 6, 4, 4, 12, 5 fantasy points, but he's really cheap, and he's, I think, almost guaranteed to be in the rotation unless something really weird happens. We've seen him play every single game so far in the playoffs. So Green, not an exciting play. Probably plays mid-teens minutes, but you never know. If Gordon gets in foul trouble defending Jimmy Butler, or if Jokic gets in foul trouble, you could see a bump in minutes for a guy like Jeff Green. So it's really gross. I kind of want to throw up saying this, but I don't like him for value. I do. And then the last guy that I think probably will play a little bit will be Christian Brown, solid defender. He was kind of in and out of the rotation, played 12 minutes there, then 4, then 3. He got a DNP one game. He played, I believe, in every game in that Phoenix series. He is the 1K guy. If you're looking at the 1K guys on the slate, right? You got Jackson, you got Brown, Kankar, Watson, Smith, Zeke Naji, Jovic. You're at 7. Haslam, DeAndre Jordan, White, Bryant. Of the 1K guys, Christian Brown's the guy that I'm the most confident will see minutes. So game one, I think you probably do see a little bit, maybe a rotation from Christian Brown. If he plays really well, they could play him, 10 to 15 minutes, but don't expect a ton from him. I do think he'll probably see one rotation at least. Now, is it possible Denver only plays 7 guys? Sure. But I think with early on in this series, you probably do see a little bit of Christian Brown, who is, again, a solid defender. And then if you wanted to get way, way off the board, right, if you're thinking, okay, I think this game turns into a massive blowout, who's a guy I think could crush in a blowout? Well, I don't think there's a clear guy on Denver here that I'm like, oh, I really would want to play him. But I think maybe a Peyton Watson, rookie that, was getting some minutes down the stretch in the regular season, not a bad point per minute guy. He would probably be someone I would be willing to take a shot on if you think the game turns into a massive blowout. He will be on the court in the blowout, for sure. That being Peyton Watson. So if you want to get way, way off the board, you can go to him. Also, if something really, really weird happens, if you get early foul trouble for a couple guys for Denver, Watson is a guy that would probably be the 9th guy. So if you're talking who's the 8th guy in the rotation, it's going to be Christian Brown. If Denver had to play a 9th guy, I think it would be Peyton Watson. So you never know. An ejection or foul trouble for 2 guys in the front court, maybe you could see some Watson minutes. But I think he would be the guy that I would look to if you're playing way off the board and want to play for a blowout. So that's the player-by-player breakdown. Now, I will talk a little bit of strategy here in game theory for the $1 Million Maker. If you are playing entries in the $1 Million Maker, you want to make sure you're building plus EV lineups. I've been talking about this every video on Patreon. I break down all the showdown slates. We talk about how to build plus EV lineups in large field tournaments. So how do you build plus EV lineups in large field tournaments? here is my number one piece of advice for you. Get different without being stupid, right? Or try to be unique without being stupid. So, for example, there was a showdown slate. I also have the worst memory, but I had a shot at a takedown. I want to say it was a few weeks ago. And I only left, I think it was like $1.3 thousand on the table, right? In the big tournament. And only 3 people duped me. I didn't have a crazy, insane lineup. I just, again, was trying to be unique without being stupid. So you don't have to get way, way off the board. You don't have to like fade Nikola Jokic, or you don't have to leave like 10,000 on the table. But try to build lineups that aren't going to be duped a ton. So like if you have an optimizer and you click optimize and you play that lineup in this tournament, like that's a minus EV move because it's going to be duped a ton. You want to build your lineup if you're playing this tournament. Now, if you're playing I always talk, if you're playing like single entry, high stakes, or cash games, you don't have to worry about being duped, right? You don't have to worry about that. But if you are only playing entries in this $1 million maker, what you want to do is build a lineup, again, that you think can be different without being stupid. So whether that be, okay, I'm going to eat a lot of chalk, but I'm going to leave like $2,000 on the table, or I'm going to leave like $1.5 thousand on the table, or even $1,000. Like you don't want to get way, way off the board. Or maybe you don't leave a ton of salary on the table, but you play a contrarian captain. You're like, all right, I'm going to play, I don't know, Duncan Robinson captain and hope that he just gets hot behind the 3-point land or 3-point arc, right? So that is my advice for you if you're playing this tournament. If you're playing this and you're getting entries in there, try to be unique without being stupid. You do not have to go build out a lineup and leave like 20,000 on the table or something. Or you don't have to fade like Jokic and Jimmy Butler and Jamal Murray. You don't have to do stuff like that. Also, like building out blowout slips. So you got to think about it. We talk about this all the time in the Patreon videos and the live stream. Who's going to be on the court in the blowout? And which team do you think blows out the other? So like, you're playing for a Denver blowout, you probably want to get 4 to 5 Nuggets, right? And a lot of the main guys. So just think about that, right? And my advice, build those plus EV lineups in large field tournaments, which is getting unique without getting stupid. All right, so that's going to do it for the video, guys. Hopefully that helps. If you guys do enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And let's try to aim for 100 likes on this video. Other than that, good luck. Hopefully one of you that's watching this wins the $1 million on Thursday. And we'll see you all in the next video.